MACHO, BBC and other detainees of the Anglophone crisis were at the military tribunal in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. Again, the case was adjourned to the 24th of May 2018. It has so far been criticized by many. Others are indicating that the government or the law should be allowed to take its course. Our guest tonight is a human rights lawyer, a common law lawyer, and a senior barrister at law, Barrister Fru Nsoh. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi. Thank you for inviting me.
Tonight, like I said, we are going to be talking about the legal proceedings of MACHO, BBC, and other detainees of the Anglophone crisis that has again suffered another adjournment. That was yesterday in the nation's capital. When you heard that the case was actually adjourned, when many were expecting a verdict, even though we are not supposed to comment on legal issues, especially with regards to the justice system in Cameroon, what was your reaction, Barrister?
I am flabbergasted. I don't even know what is going on. They had actually issued a verdict clearing him of certain charges and convicting him of others. The only thing left was to pronounce sentencing. Why do they keep adjourning just sentencing? Why? There is something that they are hiding. Or are they afraid that something will happen before the 20th of May? Even before the 20th of May, MACHO BBC was declared guilty about 1 or 2 months ago. And each time they have been bringing him back, back and forth, and you saw, I read somewhere that they were revolting yesterday in the court because the conditions of detention are unbearable.
It's not conducive.
Some have even been attacked. So, what is it that this system wants from English-speaking people?
Many people, like you indicated, are speculating. Some critics are speculating that adjourning the case to the 24th of May was strategic, given that, like you said, it is coming after the 20th of May, the day that Cameroonians are celebrating national unity. Do you think what's your reaction? Do you think that is the case here?
I believe that it is strategic as far as they are concerned. But as far as I'm concerned, and many other lawyers are concerned, what is so strategic about pronouncing sentencing on some people who have already been declared guilty? All they need to do is come and read the sentence and let them start serving, or if they are going to be discharged, let them go home.
And the more
I really, the whole thing smells funny. You go to Bamenda, you kidnap people, take them from their environment and their language. You come and try them in a language that they don't even understand. And before a military court, take the case of MACHO BBC. What did he do to appear in the military court? Has he been found with any arm? What has he done to appear in the military court? The coffin revolution that I know was a demonstration. That's a minor offense that it could have been tried in the magistrate court in Bamenda. Why take a man from Bamenda across the seas to Yaoundé to the military court? And now they are stuck. They cannot even give a sentence after they have given a verdict declaring him guilty on certain counts.
You are, of course, a legal mind because he's been declared guilty of secession, revolution.
Yeah, well, let them sentence him.
What could possibly be the results of such charges levied?
Well, I think I may be wrong. I think that they have a plan of sentencing all those Anglophones that were arrested between 11 and 15 years imprisonment. I don't know what their plans are. Some people have even suggested that they are doing that in order that the head of state can have something to do clemency on. Well, I don't believe that. He has declared a war against what he calls another part of his country. The war is going on, and he is sentencing people. why not sentence Mancho BBC so that he knows, and his friends, the 6 of them who were in court yesterday, so that they know that they are now serving their jail term. I don't understand what is going on. Well, they were supposed to have sentenced them from the day they declared them guilty.
And many people,
but they are also allowed. A judge has a right to say, okay, adjourn for sentencing. But you adjourn for sentencing. You have been adjourning after declaring him guilty. What is going on? Is he waiting for this, the amount of jail term coming from somewhere? Because this shows, it should show all Cameroonians that these judges are not free. They get the sentencing from somewhere to pronounce them.
Many people are equally worried about other detainees of the Anglophone crisis that have not been appearing in court for several months now.
For several months.
In the nation's capital, we have some in other parts of the country as well.
In Boya, there are about more than 400 people in detention. In Bamenda, the prisons are full. In Douala here, you have some. They have not been tried. What is, well, to me, I call them all prisoners of war.
That is what you as a legal
I call them prisoners of war. And the prisoners of war, they have protection under the Geneva Convention. So anybody who is a prisoner of war is supposed to be respected according to the international norms laid down by a convention in Geneva. Okay, they call them terrorists. If they are terrorists, okay, try them and sentence them. So that we know exactly what you want. You are neither trying them nor treating them like prisoners of war, nor releasing them. So what's going on?
Now, as the case is dragging on, tension is mounting, the violence is escalating in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. As far as the arrest and detention of many Anglophone activists is concerned, what is the implication on this crisis, the Anglophone crisis? What is the impact?
The impact has been felt from the day they kidnapped the leaders from Nigeria. It escalated the whole war. The war is now at its peak, and it's not going to get any better. I don't see how somebody would declare a war and at the same time sentencing people during a war situation. Because when you declare war and you arrest people and lock them up, I consider those people prisoners of war. And if they are not prisoners of war, if you call them terrorists, try them and sentence them. Take the case of Mancho BBC. The verdict was given more than 2 months ago that he was guilty of certain counts and released on certain counts. Now, this is only to sentence him. Why keep adjourning?
It was actually on the 25th of April that the military tribunal made it very clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Guilty of certain charges and acquitted
of certain charges. Why not? Because in the normal procedure they were supposed to pronounce the sentencing at the same time. But the judge has a right to adjourn at least one adjournment to be able to situate herself or himself on the sentencing. But they have since been adjourning. We have had about 3 or 4 adjournments already for somebody who has been declared guilty.
Now, the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms has actually come out with a report on the situation in the northwest and the southwest regions of the country, indicating that there is a gross human rights violation, like you were indicating. But this is not the first time that this commission is actually issuing reports on the situation on the ground. Don't you think the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedom can go further than just issuing reports?
The Human Rights Commission of this country has been put together by the government. So they are under the control and caprices of the government.
Do you mean
Let
reports
me explain that.
by the commission cannot?
Yes, what they call violation of human rights, I call it gross violations of human rights and war crimes, crimes against humanity. Take, for example, villages have been burned down by soldiers. We have seen soldiers burning down villages. We have seen soldiers burning old people in homes. We have seen soldiers killing civilians carelessly in a war situation. You burn down.
Some legal minds will say is to restore calm in the region to make sure that things return to normal.
What, by burning down villages?
That is what some legal minds will say.
Well, I don't know what kind of legal minds you're talking about. When you go into a village and burn down the village during a war situation, you are committing a war crime. And when you shoot and kill civilians without taking care of protecting the civilians during war, that is a war crime.
So now, Barrister, before we go, what can really be done? The situation is escalating. Many people continue
Mr. Bia declared this war. Only the person who declared the war can also call for ceasefire, stand down, and come to the negotiating table. Release everybody to show good faith, come to the negotiating table, and the two parties talk. But now he thinks that Anglophones are all terrorists. Who is he going to talk to?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Barrister, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to